Hey everybody, it's me, John Anthony Chihawk Soltero. I am the anti-hero, and I'm here today to do a toy unboxing and review. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the various channels. I've watched several videos on the new McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse figures. Um, Most of the videos that I've watched have been fair to pretty unfavorable in terms of what the figures look like, what the expectations are. Um, the one video that was pretty favorable was an individual toy of the line, um, and that was about the Bat Raptor and the Batman figure specifically. Um, that one was pretty favorable. I believe that was done by Toy Shiz. Um, a lot of their initial videos and a lot of the initial videos of these DC Multiverse McFarlane figures have been um, using production stills and things like that. So last night I was picking up a script and decided to look in the toy department and found this John Stewart Green Lantern. So I'm going to go ahead and open it. We're going to take a look at like how the figure stands and poses and things like that. It's just a second. Okay, so we got him out of the box, and right away I don't like this figure for a couple of reasons. One, I like the packaging because it gives you the opportunity to take the figure out. If you're careful, you can put it back in, except the way they package the base. The base is secured to the back, so you have to damage the packaging to get it out. Secondly, I didn't want to do that, so I had another disc base, and I used that disc base so I didn't damage the packaging. And look, peg broke off in his foot. So now the figure is damaged. Disc is damaged that I was using for another figure. So that's kind of off-putting right there. Let's take a look at this figure, see if it actually stands up, because a lot of the reviews were talking about the leg base and the fact that he's probably not going to stand up on his own. And foot popped right out of the peg. And they were also talking about, because of how large these animated series upper bodies are and how small the legs are, these characters are going to have to lean forward pretty crazily. He doesn't look too bad from that perspective. Let's see how he looks from the side. Yeah, he's definitely got a lean to him. How do I prop this up? I don't know if you can see this or not with his legs. Okay, he's not standing up. So, the ball joints actually already look like they're a little out of whack on his ankles, which is too bad. I've never had a John Stewart figure. I liked his character a lot in the DC Animated Universe TV show. There we go. So he's standing up straight. His body is a little off kilter where he's kind of turned. His upper body is turned a little bit. Let's see if we can get that broken peg out of his foot. I doubt it. It's pretty mashed in there. That's unfortunate. Proportions on this. Somewhat reminiscent of the DCAU TV shows. Legs are a bit smaller than I remember them to be. The calves, not as bad as it seems like they were making them out to be in the reviews. He does have that forward like his lower abdomen and his crotch are pushed out. He does have a pretty crazy curve to his spine. But in a lot of like art styles, when you're drawing like the really powerful upper body and stuff like that, I mean that's pretty reminiscent of things. Let's see here how the construct works. I don't know if you're supposed to take this off. I am pretty sure well, hand isn't supposed to come off that easily if it is, but the hole to get the hand in is a lot bigger than it looks bigger than it is. So this is what we've got. He's got the gun way out on his hand, almost like it's a pistol. I don't know if this thing is supposed to snap apart and then snap together. This is unfortunate because you're never going to be able to you're never going to be able to have that on construct on and be able to have this figure stand up. It's just not going to happen because he's already back heavy, and then if you do this from the front, let's just try it just for the heck of it. Yeah. Looks like he's leaning back. Kind of buckle his knees. I mean, there he goes. Kind of a, I guess it's not a terrible pose. Still would be nice if the machine gun came all the way up to his elbow. If you can see it, it really just goes to the edge of his forearm. He also comes with the construct for a headset and communicator, which is kind of weird because doesn't the ring do all that stuff for him anyways? At least I thought. I don't know. Let's see here if we can get this thing on. I don't know what I was expecting from these figures. This was the only one that was in the toy department. Oh, it's not a communicator. Okay. And I had it on backwards. At least it looks like. It looks like the heck is up with this? Okay. So one piece goes right over his ear. The other side of it goes under the ear. There's a little divot in it. It is not a communicator. It is a targeting system. So, I mean, that's kind of cool. He is a military guy after all. Former Marine. One of the more prominent members of the Green Lantern Corps. One of the more prominent human members of the Green Lantern Corps. Why, when space is as vast as it is, there's like 8 to 10 human members of the Green Lantern Corps. I don't know. I would say Hal Jordan and now Jessica Cruz are probably my two favorite Green Lantern characters, at least the human characters. John Stewart, because of his role in the DC animated universe. Jessica Cruz, I actually just watched Justice League versus the Fatal Five, and I kept hearing about this anxiety lantern, and kept seeing, like while watching this movie, I was just like, why would the Ring pick her if she's laden with anxiety and it's like difficult, if not impossible, for her to leave her apartment because of the trauma she suffered. And then through, finishing and watching the movie and stuff like that, and then also looking at like my own recent life and being diagnosed as bipolar 2, and then that sometimes means that it's very difficult for me to get out of bed. And it sometimes means that, I do very bipolar things. They're just not as extreme as somebody who's bipolar 1. I started to realize like I'm still capable of a lot of big things, like working on my comic book and working in social services and helping people, doing my fitness, reaching my fitness goals, and taking care of my dogs, and maintaining my home and things like that. So it's kind of central to understand that being bipolar or having a mental health disorder doesn't make you incapable of doing things. As my doctor was telling me last night, he knows several doctors who have bipolar and practice medicine on a regular basis. They just follow their treatments and therapies and stuff like that. And that's just for anybody. I mean, if you had a physical ailment, let's say you chronically had to walk with, crutches, or had a back brace, or had a heart arrhythmia, or just anything physically, you would follow your treatments and your medications and things like that, and follow your course of action, and you'd still be able to do the things that you want to do or that you shoot to do. Um, so it made sense that the Ring would see something in her beyond what she sees in herself, and beyond maybe what other people see in her as well. But back to this figure, it's not bad. I have a feeling that if I put him up on the shelf, he'll stand for a little while and then he'll topple over. So I'm gonna have to figure out, like, keep him on the desk, put him somewhere where he's not gonna fall within reach of the dogs, because otherwise he'll get chewed up eventually. And me, I don't tend to notice when stuff like that happens unless I'm out here and it makes a really loud noise. So these are 7-inch scale figures, and so for comparison, this is a Bane from the Batman animated series universe, and he is in the 6-inch scale range. Now, John Stewart is on a tiny little lip with the disc, and Bane is shorter than he is. So it's kind of disappointing that McFarlane went in the direction of the 7-inch scale versus the 6-inch scale. For people to be able to be like, we've got DC figures made by McFarlane. You can't have them take on your Marvel legends and stuff. But this, John Stewart doesn't need to come with a, well, oh, it's a whole big ball socket. Okay, crazy. That's how his shoulder works. That's why his shoulders look so strange. And so then there's this gap here with black that breaks the color of the uniform, the way it was designed. So it almost looks like a design effect, and it really isn't. It's a practicality effect. And thought those were frozen. Good that they're not. He doesn't come with a ton of accessories. He comes with the targeting system. He comes with the gun. But that's not bad because, you know, he's wearing the most powerful weapon in the known universe. So it's like, you know, he can do whatever he wants with it. Overall, not a bad figure. Some of the plastic looks a bit weird. Some of it's a little shinier in places. Like the greens are definitely separate plastic or painted differently. The blacks are mostly matte. He's got decent articulation. I like a lot of articulation. I do not like when the articulation causes the detail to suffer. So the DC Classics figures. Let me see if I've got one. So this is Nightwing from the DC Classics figures, and he's got good articulation. Some of the plastics change in terms of like them being like a matte finish or different type of plastic, but you know, articulation does not destroy detail. For a character like Nightwing, you really want to have him be posable, but at the same time, like you want it to look like a good figure at the same time. Like if it's super posable, like if you remember that super posable Spider-Man from way back in the day when Toy Biz finally started making an articulated figure. There you go. None of the accessories fell off, so, and he stayed on his plate, which is almost kind of dangerous because then the peg can break off. Anyways, that Spider-Man was one of the coolest figures at the time. But at the same time, when you look at him now, he's kind of janky because he had the silver rivets in like his wrists and stuff like that. So he looked kind of weird, and the ball joints in like his shoulders and his hips made him look very, very strange. I mean, at the time, you just wanted the posable Spider-Man, but you know, it suffered in terms of the overall look and quality of the figure. I don't feel that the articulation does that here. I think the shoulders look very strange. The legs definitely need to be beefier. This upper body, I mean, this is a fairly heavy figure, and because of how big his upper body is, he's going to be top heavy. So, you know, the worry is that he's going to, fall over. So the best thing to do when you're going to pose him, other than taking pictures or whatnot, is probably going to be just on the stand doing some more wide frame stance. Okay, this is interesting. The if the knee joints are like that. No, knee joints are not like that. This is going to be very, very difficult. Oh, okay, you can see it. There's actual grooves in the elbow joints. That's going to be nice because hopefully that means the elbow joints are not going to wear out and just like get, flimsy and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's kind of a nice attention to detail. But overall, I mean, I would give this figure, I mean, from a likeness standpoint, I'd give it a good solid B+, A-. From an overall design standpoint, for posability, playability, the fact that he's probably going to fall down off of your shelf, the fact that they did, a weird scale, and with the, accessories. The accessories I'd give an A2 because they're pretty cool looking. It's a like translucent gun. The light hits it just the right way. It looks like it's glowing. But yeah, his calves are turning outward, which is weird. From a design standpoint, this is like a C or a C- in terms of design. And from somebody who's been doing toys for, since the early 90s, that's not good. Normally does things like glorified statues that have little, if any, articulation. But We'll see with other figures in the line. I wish they had stuck with, I forget who was doing their DC Classics line, but I wish they had stuck with them and stuck with that style of figure. You still could have done the more detailed, like live action figures and stuff like that. But the movie figures that they've done recently have very little posability. I've purchased 2 different Wonder Woman figures, and the skirt completely hinders any ability to pose it. The 2 best figures of the new multiverse line that I've picked up were definitely Dark Knight, armored Dark Knight Returns Batman, and the Carrie Kelly Robin. And even her elbows, like I think she has like the fixed slingshot, which makes it very, very strange. But I mean, there's hope. I really wish they would, kind of get on their merchandising, but their DC Direct stuff is phenomenal. So if you want DC animated stuff, and right now they're really only doing the Batman, the animated series, and the extended Batman stuff, I would suggest going that route. You're going to pay a little bit more. Bane was $28. This guy was $19.99 in a retail store. Chances are you're going to find him in a specialty comic book shop. Because it's a McFarlane figure, you're probably going to be hunting for these figures, and there's 7 or 8 figures in the line. Happy hunting if that's what you want to do. But I would say if you want that animated classic look, stick to the Batman the Animated Series figures. I'm going to see if I can get this peg pulled out of here. But you guys have a good weekend, and tell me about your reactions if you picked these up. What do you think? And who you'd like to see done in new figure forms, like from DC specifically, because it seems like their action figure line is kind of, at least on the retail front, is really kind of trailing behind the Marvel Legends, which are not necessarily superior figures. I mean, it really depends on what you're looking for, what figures you're looking for. But, I mean, I don't need the really, really obscure figure unless you're finally going to do, I guess they have done the ones that I like. But, like, when are you going to put out a Howard the Duck figure? Probably never. But, you put out a Spider-Ham, you put out a Rocket Raccoon, so that's pretty much the only thing, because I need them to go with my Man-Thing Build-A-Figure. But anyways, that's the end of this video. Been going on super long, but take care. Hope you have a good weekend and a good week, and I'll be back with a update on the Bubba Patrol next week.